Yes, indeed, since the significant Washington summit meeting in mid-August, as confirmed by all our esteemed military leaders. The work that allows me to tell you today that we, Europeans, are ready to provide security guarantees to Ukraine and the Ukrainian people. That is the commitment we made in Washington. The contributions that have been prepared, documented, and confirmed this afternoon at the level of the defense ministers in an extremely confidential manner allow me to say that this preparatory work is now complete. It will now be endorsed politically, and it enables us in a solid way, and we will get back to you tomorrow after these meetings and discussions to say that we are ready for a strong and lasting peace for Ukraine and for Europeans. The question now is to determine the sincerity of Russia and its successive commitments when it proposed peace to the United States in 2010. And we will get there as well. My only message tonight is about the work.
I want to thank you for your decision regarding the air defense systems. They are important. Sometimes we forget, but when you live every day under shelling, under missile strikes. Last night, there were more than 20 ballistic missiles, and it's not just anyone who shoots them down, it's the decisions that were made in the past that shoot them down. I am grateful to France for this. The SEMT is working. Thank you very much, both from me and from all the Ukrainian people. The same goes for strengthening our army. France is among the leaders in supporting Ukraine. And today, we are once again facing yet another significant initiative. The principal leaders of this particular initiative in Europe are primarily France and Great Britain. This is a coalition of the willing. Today, it still looks mostly theoretical, but each of these initiatives, the ones I've already mentioned and those I haven't, but which are working to defend Ukraine, at first no one believed in them either, that Ukraine would have NATO standard weapons. But today this exists. Today it provides protection. I have great faith in the coalition of the willing under your leadership and Keir Starmer's, and you have brought together more than 30 countries. And I really hope that today we will have a bilateral conversation, a bilateral meeting, and a meeting with our teams. And tomorrow we will have the coalition of the willing, the result of which I don't know on which day it will happen, but it definitely will happen. There will be security guarantees for Ukraine. This is very important.
And of course, the topic that is being discussed now, and in particular is regularly brought up by Zelensky, is the so-called security guarantees for Ukraine. On August 29th, Zelensky outlined his own vision of future security guarantees at a briefing highlighting what he considers to be 3 priority elements. He listed maintaining the current size of the armed forces of Ukraine, while simultaneously ensuring their reliable funding and supply of weapons. He forgot to mention that he himself adjusts the size of the armed forces, throwing into the fire those who have been forcibly mobilized and are absolutely unprepared for this. Oh, he also forgot to mention that, as he put it, the reliable funding and arming of the armed forces of Ukraine will be carried out by the international community, that very same Western minority. The second thing he said was the protection of Ukraine by its partners in some kind of NATO-light format. I think he must have confused it with some kind of cocktail, especially since, as he also mentioned, this is in case of a new invasion. And thirdly, the preservation of anti-Russian sanctions and the use of stolen Russian assets for, once again, as he said, the reconstruction of the country. Well, I just want to say something about the third point. Given the corruption and entrenched theft in Ukraine, no amount of assets will be enough for them to rebuild the country. Even the humanitarian aid and the military aid as well that comes in during this critical period is being stolen. The countries that are donors to Ukraine are, in fact, not donors of the kind of blood that could do good, but rather donors of tainted blood that only kills Ukraine. These donors can't even force the Kyiv regime to account for the supplies. Can you imagine what will happen to the money, to the resources that will be allocated for Ukraine's reconstruction? It will be an endless reconstruction. All these ideas of the Kyiv leader, which are essentially just copies of the initiatives of European sponsors, actually not even sponsors, but the European Party of War, as we have said many times before, are absolutely unacceptable. They are aimed at preserving Ukraine as a staging ground for terror and provocations against our country. They are not guarantees of Ukraine's security. They are guarantees of danger for the European continent. The conclusion is obvious. Ukraine has long since lost its independence, is governed from the outside, and has in fact become a real colony for its Western overseers. At this stage, given Ukraine's condition, there can be no talk of any independence. Not because someone doesn't want it that way, but because that is simply its current state. Because the neo-Nazis entrenched in Kyiv, for their own selfish interests, are ready to auction off what remains of Ukraine and without hesitation sacrifice the lives of millions of its citizens. For what purpose? For two reasons: their own passions and ambitions, and the goals and objectives set for them by the Western community, which continues to supply the Kyiv regime with weapons for this purpose. The European sponsors have not stopped doing this. They are doing it with one goal and one specific task: to continue the war until the last Ukrainian.